This topic is a training. Relationships are a training ground in a way for the ultimate relationship, which is the relationship we have with God and Guru. And we want to put emphasis on that deepest relationship kind of as a foundational principle for developing more harmonious relationships in outward life. In a way, the outward life is sort of the testing ground or the proving ground for how deeply we've really gone. We may have an incredibly deep meditation. We may reach stillness, breathlessness, diving into Om, having some kind of samadhi experience. But if we come back out and holler at somebody for something that they've done, then there's still something missing from that deeper experience. And so to coax that out into daily life, to draw the peace that we feel, there have been times in my life when, even early on the path, where I was in a place that was so profoundly still and calm inside that all the commotion around me, it's sort of like I was floating in a little bubble above a very stormy sea, watching all these waves crashing around, and I just wasn't touched by it. I wasn't affected by it. It's like the aura around me was strong enough that it didn't penetrate. But I wasn't out of touch with it. I was very aware of what people were experiencing or going through. I just wasn't lost in it myself. And it's really helpful to be able to achieve that. Now that's grace. That's not a daily experience until we earn it and have developed it on the inside. But always remember, and this is something especially to be aware of in close relationships, that if they are not centered in God consciousness to some degree, to the degree that we are able to, then it's really, there's always going to be a ceiling on how high that relationship can go, a fairly low ceiling. But if we do spend time meditating, for example, together, then there's a sort of a wellspring of inner power and grace that tends to protect and guide that relationship. And it's really important. I'll relate one experience in this regard. Many, many years ago in the mid-1980s, I was part of a small singing group, and we were touring in California singing Swamiji's music and then also some Christmas music, because it's Christmas season, so it was December. And Swamiji advised us before we went out that every time before we went to perform, that we would meditate together in a little circle. And he even advised us to hold hands physically, to hold hands with each other and meditate, just even for 1 or 2 minutes. But that little simple act helped to spiritualize the singing that we were doing, but it also helped to harmonize the time that we spent, because we were we were traveling together, we were living, staying in people's homes. It was not always terribly comfortable, or even if it was a nice home, the rehearsal schedule, there's a lot, and you're just sort of with each other all the time. And it's not always easy to be around people. If you go to office and you have a group of colleagues that you work with, you get to come home at night. Presumably you don't stay there all the time and have them. Now, of course, with many people working from home, it's that challenge comes home with them as well. But we have to create the space around our spiritual lives and give that top priority, because then the relationships that come from that inner peace, have inner peace as their foundation. And it's really, really critical.